Rome did not fall in a single night. It was wounded slowly, in full daylight, by applause. The Republic still stood. Its temples were open. Its laws were recited. The Senate met as it always had. And yet, beneath the marble and ceremony, something essential had already broken. Power no longer waited its turn. Loyalty no longer answered to institutions. The future no longer asked permission from the past. At the center of this fracture stood one man. Not a tyrant crowned in gold, not a king declared by law, but a citizen, elected, celebrated, and trusted until trust itself became irrelevant. He returned from war richer than the state that sent him, more loved than the men meant to restrain him, more feared than the enemies he had defeated. Rome had built him to survive chaos, then discovered it had built something it could not command. This is not the story of how a republic was murdered in secret. It is the story of how it died in public, surrounded by cheers, unable to defend itself. A republic that could no longer hold. The Roman Republic believed in process, in balance, in the slow grinding of ambition against tradition until neither could move too far. Power was divided not because men were virtuous, but because they were not trusted to be. For centuries, this restraint held. Consuls rose and fell. Generals returned to civilian life. Armies belonged to the state, not to individuals. Glory was temporary. Authority was borrowed. But Rome was no longer small. It ruled territories it could not govern with old habits. Its wars were distant. Its soldiers were poor men fighting for pay, land, and loyalty. The Senate debated ideals while legions learned to follow commanders who fed them, protected them, and promised them futures Rome itself could not guarantee. Into this imbalance stepped Julius Caesar. He was not the first ambitious Roman, but he arrived at a moment when the institutions meant to limit ambition had grown weak, slow, and divided. Political rivals blocked him not with strength, but with procedure. Laws were used as weapons. Tradition became a tool of exclusion. Caesar learned quickly. If Rome would not grant him power, he would earn it elsewhere. In Gaul, far from senatorial control, he built an army that belonged to him in everything but name. He paid them. He rewarded them. He shared danger with them. By the time Rome noticed, the Republic was already outmatched. Its laws were intact. Its authority was not. The line that could not be uncrossed. The moment of refusal came quietly. Caesar was ordered to disband his army and return to Rome alone. The command was lawful. It was constitutional. It was final. If obeyed, his career would end. His enemies would prosecute him. His legacy would be erased carefully, legally, and without mercy. The Republic believed this choice would force submission. It did not understand the man it had created. Caesar paused at the edge of the Rubicon, a narrow river that marked the boundary no general was permitted to cross under arms. On one side stood legality. On the other, treason. There would be no negotiation after this step. No appeal. No return. He crossed. The Republic had no answer prepared. Its defenders scattered. Its leaders fled. Rome, the city that had conquered the world, lay undefended before one man and the soldiers who followed him by choice. What followed was not immediate slaughter, it was something more dangerous. Caesar spoke of mercy, of reform, of order restored. He spared enemies who expected death. He absorbed offices meant to check him. Each concession made resistance harder. The Senate still existed. Magistrates still served, but decisions no longer originated there. They flowed outward from one will. The Republic was not destroyed by violence alone. It was replaced by dependence. Rome discovered too late that refusing to resist was also a decision. Power learned to speak softly. Power concentrates silently until it does not. Caesar returned from victory after victory, no longer pretending to be merely first among equals. He wore honors no man should wear, accepted titles no citizen should accept. The crowd adored him. The army obeyed him. The Senate endured him. Fear replaced debate. Senators rose when he entered. Silence followed his words. Tradition bent itself to avoid breaking, not realizing that bending was the break. The air inside the chamber felt heavier with each appearance. Sandaled feet scraped stone floors in measured restraint. No one rushed. No one challenged the pace. Outside, Rome continued to breathe, markets opening, doors creaking, unaware that gravity had shifted. Inside, men trained to speak for the state learned instead to watch a single figure move. His presence shortened conversations, lowered eyes, stiffened backs already bent by years of compromise. Laughter faded before it formed. Objections died in throats unused to resistance. Even the walls seemed to listen more closely. Power was no longer argued. It was assumed. Each session ended with less spoken than before, yet more decided. The city did not erupt. It adjusted. Quietly. Carefully. Like men stepping aside for an oncoming weight they could feel but not see. No decree announced the change. No trumpet marked the moment. Still, something ancient withdrew from the room each time he stood to leave, as if Rome itself was receding, step by step, into memory. Silence followed him out, settling slowly like dust after collapse, leaving behind a chamber that still stood, but no longer carried its former weight of command and belief. Authority had already learned to obey. The Roman Republic was not killed by a single blade. It was hollowed out long before blood touched stone. Long before steel flashed beneath the porticos, its strength had already thinned, worn down by years of compromise, delay, and fear disguised as caution. By the time violence arrived, it struck something already empty, already weakened, already unable to defend itself. Caesar's true act was not crossing the Rubicon, nor seizing power, nor accepting honors meant for kings. Those moments were visible, dramatic, easy to remember. The deeper rupture came earlier. It came when the Republic revealed that it could no longer enforce its own limits, that its laws required consent to function. That obedience, once withdrawn, could not be compelled by memory alone. After him, Rome would still speak the language of tradition. Offices remained. Rituals continued. The calendar turned. Magistrates were elected. The words of the past were repeated with care. But authority lived elsewhere. It gathered quietly in fewer hands. It stayed longer. It no longer apologized. What appeared familiar was no longer the same, and what endured did so only in form, not in spirit. The men who killed Caesar believed they were restoring history. They believed removal would reverse direction. Instead, they confirmed it. Their act proved what Caesar had already exposed, that power no longer flowed from institutions, but from force, loyalty, and fear. The blade did not revive the Republic. It announced that only violence remained capable of deciding Rome's future. What followed was not renewal, but acceleration. Disorder filled the space where balance once lived. Civil war returned, harsher and more final. Stronger men learned from Caesar's example. They avoided his mistakes. They claimed no crowns, only permanence. They spoke softly of continuity while building something entirely different. Rome would endure for centuries. Its roads would stretch across continents. Its legions would march beneath standards recognized across the world. Its laws would shape empires yet unborn. But the Republic, shared, fragile, restrained, ended with the man it could neither control nor survive. It did not fall screaming. It slipped away, piece by piece, until absence replaced loss. Caesar did not crown himself king. He did not need to. He changed the question entirely. After him, no ruler needed to ask what was permitted, only what could be taken and kept. The Republic died not with defiance, but with applause. Surrounded by cheers, acceptance, and relief, it passed quietly into history. And that is why Caesar's name did not fade. It hardened into legend, not because he destroyed Rome, but because he revealed what Rome had already become. Memory did the rest. Stories outlived witnesses. Statues replaced debate. His life became a measure others chased, not a warning they feared. In remembering Caesar, Rome remembered power, not restraint. And in doing so, it ensured that the Republic would remain a story of the past, spoken with reverence, distance, and an unease that never fully disappeared. Its shadow lingered long after the city forgot why it mattered.